welcome everybody here. It's a great meeting, and we have three tremendous panelists to help us learn more about Pathway's new base camp, which just came online about 3 weeks ago. And so I want to welcome you all. And I'd like you to keep in mind that if you're pretty familiar with Zoom, you could write your questions down in the chat room, and I'll keep track of questions and I'll be able to ask our panelists of this. I believe, Ava, did you decide, are you going first or second? As second, okay, so that would mean, Kevin, you're going to be going first. And I want to welcome all of our panelists. And the reason why I put this together is because I had questions about how this is different. And I was looking at it. And as I was going through, I decided I wanted to get the best experience by buying a new path and just starting from scratch as if I was a brand new member. And as I was going through it, I was quite surprised at how user-friendly it was. But even more importantly, if you use the program and follow the program, it works fairly automatically. If you put your information in there, it saves it, you get the credit. We'll talk more about that, but certainly wanting to use a program that's going to help us advance our education in every way. Like Lloyd, how long have you been with Toastmasters now?
1972, I
So
joined
quite
Toastmasters in Club 1412 in Des Moines, Iowa.
So before I was born, I'm just kidding. No, I was 12 years
Yeah,
old. But the point is, the point is, you've been doing this a long time. You've seen lots of changes. We've got several amazing people on this call who've been here a long time. And although this is a new program, the point of the program is you also have opportunities to learn new skills that will take what you know to a whole new level, no matter how many years you've been doing this. That's the great thing about this course is so much that you can learn. And where you can take this, it's really just up to you because this is all self-paced. But it's a beautifully written program that they've spent many, many years working on to make this essentially a self-paced program that you could do on your own. Although my recommendation is always turn to someone in your club or someone else in Toastmasters to mentor you and help you through some of the rough points. Some of the key mentors that I turn to whenever I have any rough points, which is often when I'm working as a leader, is that I always call Toastmasters International. And I talk to the various different people in their departments, and they know what they're doing. They are great, great, helpful people. So every time I have an issue that I cannot figure out, if I don't have someone else to turn to, I just call Toastmasters International. But tonight we have three wonderful speakers that we will be giving a different chance. They'll take about 12 minutes each, covering their areas from the very beginnings to how you work through the program and how you make the most of this. And so I want to start by introducing all three of our speakers. And if you would, Ava, if you'll speak up first, we first have Ava Tweedy, who is, I'll introduce her. She's DTM and the District Education Manager for District 55, as well as our webmaster. She joined Toastmasters in 2016 and immediately fell in love with it. She is a past member of the Pathways support team and has been a vice president of education multiple times for her club. She enjoys helping others grow and thrive and is excited to join the amazing panelists we have here tonight to talk about Pathways today. Please say hi, Ava.
Hi, everybody. You should all
Welcome.
know me, except, of course, Dawn, who now we're best friends, so we're good. And
Thank you,
I'm very
Ava.
excited, as Bart said. So thank you for having me today.
And she will be handling the middle part. Beginning the first part is going to be Kevin Clark. And Kevin has been a Toastmaster since October of 2018. He's working toward his DTM and has completed Presentation Mastery Level 5 and Level 4 of Innovative Planning. So it looked like he's well on his way this year to completing that. He is an active member and former president of Texas Medicaid and Healthcare Partnership, Toastmasters, which is TMHP Toastmasters here in Austin, and is an active member of Top Notch Trainers in San Antonio and Dynamic Public Speakers in Buda. Outside of his clubs, he's the current Program Quality Director for District 55. We call that the PQD. And he's an avid basket maker, currently the president of Central Texas Basket Guild in Austin, and is on the conference committee for the Texas Basket Weavers Association. He has a passion for training and customer service, which is fortunate because to be able to do in his role as the Learning Management System Administrator working on the Texas Medicaid account, along with his volunteer roles. Please welcome Kevin Clark. Say hi, Kevin.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me tonight. I look forward to working with y'all.
Thank you, Kevin. And someone I just recently met who was referred to by someone who's a member of one of my clubs. And she said, well, I have an amazing person I know from California where I was in a club, and I want you to talk to Dawn Jenkins about being on this panel. So I called up Dawn, and I was just amazed at what a dynamic speaker she is, how just wonderful she is, so effusive as a speaker, as well as so knowledgeable in so much, especially in this area. Distinguished Toastmaster Dawn Jenkins has been in Toastmasters for 15 years. And since joining, she has held almost every club officer position as sponsored and mentored new clubs and been an area director. Understanding the needs of her members, Dawn started teaching Pathways when it first rolled out in 2017. She became the District 52 Pathways Chair in 2019 and has been leading Pathways workshops ever since. Dawn is currently the Pathways team leader for District 52. I believe that's in Burbank. She's the Vice President of Education for Toastmasters for Writers in Burbank, and Dawn presents Pathways at District 52 monthly Zoom workshops. So I want to welcome all three of ours, but please say hi, Dawn.
Happy to meet all of you tonight. It's such a pleasure to be here. And even though I've been teaching Pathways for a really long time, it's been a very short time since this new base camp rolls out. So folks, please bear with me. I'll do my very best to make this easy and fun for all of us. I'm so happy to be here with all of you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dawn. Now we'll turn to our first speaker, Kevin Clark. And Kevin, would you like me to to share the screen, or are you prepared to share your screen to show how to get into Pathways and the base camp?
I am prepared
Wonderful.
to share my screen.
I'll turn it over to you then.
Well, folks, one of the things that I was really worried about with the new base camp was that they were going to turn everything up on its head, and I wouldn't know where to begin to do anything. And I was so pleased to find out that they've made this far more intuitive than one might think. It's turned out to be a great change. And I wanted to point out one quick thing before I get into the actual base camp. If you have somebody in your club who is a novice to Pathways, one of the first things that they're going to want to do is select which path they want to go with. And that this time there are 6 paths, and those paths are found in the education programs. And if you go to Pathways and scroll down at the bottom, you can choose a path. And there are 6 options for that. It's going to ask you which language you want to look at. I prefer English. And then you have 2 choices here. You can look at all the paths, and we'll do that first. And here you can see all the paths available to us. Right now it's presentation mastery, dynamic leadership, engaging humor, motivational strategies, persuasive influence, and visionary communications. If I wasn't quite sure which way to go, I would probably want to take the assessment. This is a multi-question assessment that will ask me questions that will help me to figure out, according to my goals, what I want to learn and which path might be the best one to start with. There are no bad paths, but I wanted to make sure that everybody saw how to get to this information, especially if you're coaching newer members who haven't yet taken a path. I'm going to go back to my home now, and we'll jump right into the base camp and talk about some of the features and benefits that have been created there. Bart, at any time when I start getting too long, would you please cut me off or guide me in a different direction?
Will do.
With Basecamp, when I come to my page, I can click on the Go to Basecamp, and it's going to identify Basecamp for Kevin. Ta-da! Welcome to Basecamp, Kevin. There are 4 main areas of this: paths and learning, achievements, feedback, and resources. It's going to show me which are my active paths. Currently, I have 2 legacy paths that are no longer available because they discovered there was a lot of redundancy in the paths. They had 11, and they've trimmed that back to 6 because they felt that a lot of it was just a repeat of the same information over. So you can see that I have leadership development is a path that I'm working on. Innovative planning, I'm on level 4 of that one. And then there are also some other other curriculum that they've added that I have available to me so that I'm able to learn from those things. You can also see down here at the bottom that I've completed the presentation mastery path. I'm not going to go into the actual paths and talk about the dynamics of those. I'm just going to take a high level right now and show you how to move from one section to the other. Something that's new is that you have now learning badges that will show you what you have completed, where you are in a particular, which level you are in a particular path that you've selected. So you can see here that I've got almost everything done for my innovative planning, but I'm still at level 1 for my leadership development. Had anyone in the club given me feedback, I would see those down here in my feedback badges. In addition, there's also a new feature, which is a speech log, where you can log in what speeches you've given. The other area that I want to speak to is the feedback. All right, so as you can tell, nobody's given Kevin any feedback. Well, I'm not going to cry about that. It's only been available since October 24th. But there is a place here that's pretty cool where I can give feedback to another member. So I can select one of my 3 clubs. I'm going to go with, let's go with Top Notch Trainers. And we have lots of members there. Kathy Moore, let's say that I want to give Kathy some recognition, some feedback. I'm just going to give her some feedback that she is exceptional. And this is going to be visible to all club members. And here in my feedback, I'm going to say, thank you, Kathy, for your continued support of the club. All right, and then I post that feedback. And now when Kathy goes to her member feedback section, she would actually be able to see that Kevin has given her some feedback. The other part of the feedback that's most important for us is the evaluation feedback. And this is a place where evaluators can go and find the forms for the person that they're going to be evaluating, dependent on the project that they're working on. And then speakers can also send a digital evaluation form to your assigned evaluator ahead of time. And finally, under the resources, this is going to be the part that I'm going to be sharing next, where you are able to see all the resources for the different speeches that you're working on, the different types of things, how to write a communication plan, what a 360 evaluation is, all of these parts and pieces of your projects. But what I really wanted to show you was something that I found incredibly intriguing and something I'm going to take full advantage of is here under My Documents, I can now upload copies of my speeches. So this first one is Maria Juarez, the White Lady of Rio Frio, a spooky tale that I told at Halloween. I uploaded that as a Word document. And then I have a presentation about my love for a Labradoodle, my lovely dog that passed away a couple of years ago. And I have a PowerPoint. So you can see that I can upload a variety of different files here. So that pretty much is how to quickly navigate around. A couple of things to remember. If you're ever lost, you can come up here to your name and you can get all the way back to your Toastmasters home. and you're back where you were before, where you can go into the base camp.
Thank you, Kevin, for that. And we'll bring up Ava. So please, Ava, I'll continue on with you.
Perfect. Can you confirm you can see that for me?
We can.
Wonderful. Well, that was a great lead in, Kevin. I love going through these more easy to find navigation tools. I know we had a little bit of trouble before with that top navigation bar where you can't just click on it and you have to hit on little sub areas. And for those of you familiar with that program, it was a little bit more difficult to find your path. And I adore that it's right here. Right there, you can see exactly what path I'm in. You can see the paths I've completed. And I can't wait for the explorations, which I assume will be added under suggested learning that are coming soon. Those are those short ones. I know some of you may have heard about them that should be coming later this year. Can't talk about it yet. I don't even know what they are, but I'm just so ecstatic to hear about them because they're going to be short 3 project, almost like certifications, like the mentoring program where you can go in and do that. Now, I will give you a tiny warning here. You might notice I am in strategic relationships. Strategic relationships is not one of the paths that they chose to continue with for this time being into the new LMS, the new learning management system. What that means is that you will see that mine might look a little different and mine might say the word legacy next to it. But I'm still going to click on it and show you, because what's really important is that if you happen to be a base camp manager, you're an officer on this call, you might have to work with some of your team members that have new paths or that have some of the legacy paths. But I'll show you both because you can actually see in the mentoring program the differences there. It looks just like the new versions, and you can actually see them on your phone. I am a very avid phone user. I used to get into my path all the time from my phone. And for anyone who did that with the old program, you might be familiar with the fact that you had to tilt it into the landscape mode and you had to zoom in and you couldn't really see anything. It was hard to navigate. With the new ones, it is right here. It's zoomed in. I don't have to do anything. It's been pretty awesome. So want to encourage you to try that if you have not accessed this via your phone, and you don't even need to download an app. I'm hoping they might come out with an app just because I'm very obsessed with apps. I like to have them. I think they're easier, but you just go to toastmasters.org here on your phone and you can get into that. Let's actually go in and look at one of these paths. So when you're in here, and I can actually just show you, I clicked on strategic relationships. They are reminding me that this is not one of the new paths. I am aware, unfortunately, it's not optimized, but that's fine. I can still navigate it. And the functionality is still improved. I don't know if you can actually see it. Probably have to turn my background off.
Yeah.
But the functionality, this is actually, and I know it's very small, this is strategic relationships. So it is not that old maroon box where you can't zoom in, you have to do landscape. I can still get to my checkbox here. And so I encourage you to look at it. It's just not going to have as much of that functionality. When you're in your path, you go into the levels, you can go into the overview and you can see the different tasks that you have to do. This is really important when you're scheduling your path, when you are trying to figure out which project are you going to do when. I used to call this used to be what was called the transcript. I like to be able to see everything I need to do at once. I'm a planner. I color code, I schedule, I put dates behind things. And for me, this is really important because I can go in and very quickly see my status, because I'm not following this path in the level order. This is my 3rd path. I'm following it in the order as what was important to me and what was happening in my club. And it's very helpful. I can easily see, okay, I've already done this elective in level 3. It's already been checked off. It's already marked complete, but I have not done the required project. I have not finished my level 1. And that way I know exactly what I'm doing. So I encourage you to use this view. And again, you get there just by hitting on that overview button. So when you first go into your path, it will ask you to pick up where you left off. It might even jump you straight to a certain project that you were in, like an icebreaker. But if you want to see the whole thing, you click on Overview, and then you get to see that list. I want to take a small deviation. We have a Pathways page on our District 55 website. Right now, I'm updating this page to have as many of the newer resources as possible. Some of them are still going to be the legacy program showing all 11 paths, but there is information here. So if you have a new member who needs some information, or maybe you're giving a training and you want to get a little bit of that new details, you can come here and you can see that. But also what we have here, and I'm going to point this out to you because I think it's very important, is a level completion checklist. If you're the type of planner like I am, where you want to know what projects you're doing and when you're giving speeches, I encourage you to use this checklist because yes, the online one is really cool, but if you're someone like me, I print it out and I write on it. I have a PDF that I highlight, that I add notes to, that I work with in this case, I work with my mentees on theirs, and I would work with them with my mentor as well. The reason why this is really important, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, but there are some projects that require you to do a certain thing. Perhaps you need to be in a leadership role for 6 months. You can't just decide tomorrow to give that speech because you haven't been in a leadership role for 6 months. That's why planning is really important. And while the new tool does give us some really amazing views where you can see what you need to do and what your status is, having that checklist or some sort of log outside of the tool as well, where you can pre-plan, is really important. We had a little teaser Dawn was talking about before we got started about the speech log. I'm just going to show you, and I think I should be able to get to it from my view here. But if not, I will show you on the Pathways mentoring program. But within here, you can get to that speech log. Let me just see if I can do it from here. It's really cool. If you haven't seen it, I've been able to see it on videos. You can go and test it out there. But in that speech log, you can, probably not going to do it for my legacy program. I was actually checking on someone else's program earlier. Don't tell anybody I logged in as them. Just kidding, it was totally approved. But what you can do on there is you can go in and you can log what your speech title is. You can add your evaluator. And when you do that, your evaluator will get an email with your notes, your comments on what you're looking to do. Perhaps you're saying, hey, evaluator, I'm right-handed. I tend to gesture only with my right hand. Can you help me make sure I actually use that left hand so it doesn't just like hang out of nowhere? You can put those notes in there and you can send it to them. It is really, really cool. And I wanted to show you that, and it is being a little difficult. Maybe I'll ask Dawn if for her part, if she can just flash that up on screen. Again, I'm a little limited because mine is a legacy path, but it is something really amazing that you can do. And when you're at home, where Kevin was showing you that feedback, you can see that information there.
Also, Ava, I will ask Dawn to present that because I think that's one of the most amazing things. I did that the other day. And I loved that. You know, it's like if I put in all the information about my speech, it sends it to my evaluator and it goes into my record and it's automatically shows that here's my speech, here's when I gave it, here's who my evaluator is, and keeps those records. It's amazing. So great. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I'm just jelly. It's fine. But when you have one of those paths, you can do that and you go in and you can see your speech log and you can see it. I can actually show you. And one other thing, and that's probably one of the last things I'll say before I turn it over, because I know we got started late, but Basecamp managers, you no longer are limited to just the president, the vice president of education, and the secretary to be able to see the records in Basecamp. Any officer can now go in and see it. Now, I can't approve, but what I can do is I can go and look at the members of my club and what their status is. I am currently listed as the treasurer. I can come in here and I can see this information. I think it's amazing. Now with great, great expertise comes great, no, I don't know, whatever, Spider-Man reference. You have to be responsible. You can now see this information. Just don't go sharing. I'm sharing it with you guys. I have permission. But in here, you can go and you can see that activity. You can see what's going on. And that's just in the top navigation for me as an officer. If you're not an officer, you probably will just see your learning dashboard at the top. But that is something I find really cool. But you don't need to be an officer to be able to find members of your club. If you want to give them feedback, if you want to add them as your evaluator, everyone who's been listed under your club will show up. So it's really nice, just like what Kevin was doing with filling out that feedback. You just select them. So let me just summarize real quick. It's important to use these tools to track your progress and to plan out your life. You don't need to plan it by the minute, but have some sort of idea of which projects you might want to do in your path so that you are prepared and you have the time to devote to it. This is a self-paced program. It is up to you to decide to take the time that you want to really excel or not. You can give a speech without necessarily checking all the boxes. I know we were talking about it earlier where there was a member trying to get credit for completing a speech, but you went in and you saw their path, and in that project, in their path, there weren't any check marks, there weren't any statuses. Technically, yes, they can, if you want them to, you can give them credit. I would strongly encourage you, though, to really dive into these projects, to read about them, plan for it, and have the fun that I think you will have actually experiencing it fully. So that's what I'll leave you with. Don't forget, we have a whole Pathways page on the District 55 website. You can find this recording once it is posted. I'll put a link on here. We have the old program training videos on here as well. Please download that level completion checklist. It's amazing. We really want to do that. It's the best way to plan ahead, in my opinion, but you can use several other things. And maybe you want to get a DTM. Kevin talked about it at the beginning. You need to know what you're doing, and there's also a forum for that. So just a little plug. We have trainings, upcoming trainings will be here. Recorded trainings are here. There's resources, and we're continuing to put more here as we can. So with that, I think I'll hand it back over to Bart.
Thank you, Ava. And I just want to commend you, Ava, on your dedication to creating and keeping up with a website that is truly helpful to all of us. I don't know how many of those who are on here go to our tmd55.org website, but it has so many amazing resources that can help out, since sometimes the website at TI can be a little bit overwhelming with its scope. And I think Ava has done a great job of shaping our website to be very helpful. As a matter of fact, this recording will go onto the website, so it will be available to people as well probably after this weekend. So thank you, Ava. Thank you very much for a great presentation there. And now the third piece will be done by Dawn Jenkins, and I want to welcome Dawn, who will be taking on her next 15 minutes, and then we'll open up the Q&A, and here we are for Dawn. So thank you, Dawn.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Where I opened up is where Eva was talking about. This is a presentation mastery, brand new path I bought just after the new Basecamp opened, because I wanted to be able to show people what it looks like right now and go through it. And it is the most popular path for our new people, and most people in Toastmasters are doing it a second or third time, even if they're really active in our Pathways program. So how many of you are on Presentation Mastery or have already done it? It's the recommended path because at least 99% of people who come into Toastmasters come in because they want to be better public speakers. They're terrified of public speaking, and this path focuses more on that than any other path. So that's why I often try to show this path when I'm doing a tutorial, even though I have a lot of other paths. So this one right here, we usually go into overview and then expand all. So you can see, as she was showing Eve, all the different projects that you have in every single level on that path. Now, I've gone into the icebreaker because I wanted to show you this log thing they have now, which I think is so cool. Because how many of you have thought, like our old manuals, you could put in the back the title of the speech, the date, date you did it, and your VPE would do a little initial on it to show that you completed it. When we went in to submit an education award, we had to match the date. It was a lot of work as a VPE. But now, actually, with Pathways having all those assess your skills, they've done away with all those self-assessment tests that you did before and after to tell Pathways you finished the project. Those aren't there anymore. That was one of the biggest complaints I got when I was teaching Pathways. Now, instead, if you see this No Wonder Learned, you can finish those out by filling them out, saying, what is it you want to know? What are you wondering about? And then finish with what you learned doing this speech, this project. But if you scroll down, you'll see that you actually can fill out all the information. I'm going to say Pathways New Base Camp. That's what I'm teaching right now. It's big for me, and I think a whole bunch of you are just doing an excellent job, like Eva and Kevin, right? Thank you both. Wow. Great job, District 55, is it? Is that right? 50,
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm putting in today's date. I put in base camp, Pathways New Base Camp. I put in my club. Once I did put it all the information except the evaluator, then when I said save log and save and email the evaluation form to a person to evaluate me, I put in my husband. He's not here tonight, but that's who I put in because clubs, this is something for all of you to know, that some clubs require written evaluations and others don't. And Toastmasters in this new base camp is acknowledging that you have club cultures that are different. Our club gives people choice. Mostly we give them both oral and written evaluation. But I have a question for you all because I've been talking back and forth with education. If you're giving a speech outside of Toastmasters and you don't have a Toastmaster there to give you an evaluation, you don't get an evaluation on it, can you still get credit? Yes, you can. If your VPE allows it, it's really good to tell them you're going to do it ahead of time, the date you're doing it, what the project you want to complete doing. If you're questioning, how do I complete a project? What Pathways project could I possibly complete with the speech I'm giving at my work or wherever? As VPE, if you really know the projects, you can recommend them. There's just so many projects that I am recommending to people all the time if they're giving a speech for the district or they're at an area director or they're division director and they're giving a project. Get credit for that, Eva. You're doing all that teaching. You should get credit. So you can get credit without an evaluator giving you an evaluation. And with this form, I tested it, and yes, I could complete a project without having an evaluation. But right now, I'm going to show you, for most of you, you want to get that written evaluation. You put the name there, you put the project there, there it is. I selected it. I went like this, and look, I can scroll up and down to find the right evaluation form that I wanted. So I went to the I went to Icebreaker. So there it is. I selected for Icebreaker. And then you can say, well, what is it I really want you to focus on? As they were saying, you can tell your evaluator right here, focus on making it simple. That's my big goal. So then I save the log, and then I come down here and I save and email it. And I got this. One of my members sent me a evaluation form. I clicked on it, went right into Pathways, and started filling out her evaluation right there. So she has a record of the speech she gave, plus the evaluation she got. Yes,
Dawn,
Eva.
that was actually one of the questions in the chat. Did you get an email or was it just a notification in the tool?
I got the email.
And when you completed the evaluation form for her, did she get an email or was that a notification?
I think she got the email because I asked her, did you see? And she said yes. And it was the last thing she had to complete on a level 5. It was that Reflect on Your Path. So she was really eager to be able to submit her path completion, so that's all done. And I was very happy and surprised because it really showed me how this works. So I was very happy about that, you guys. And this would be an example that if they send you You have it in here. You can save it somewhere. You can save it right here, but a lot of these things are going to be saved. There's a whole lot of cool things here. So you can keep moving through projects and you can change this. Like for instance, if you go, oh, that was a pretty crappy title. I can go back in here after I finished and change the title. You can edit these. They're not frozen in time once you put them in the log. And this is really for you. As the Basecamp manager, I'm the VPE, I'm the main Basecamp manager, but as you just heard, all officers are Basecamp managers. They can go in here and look, but they don't see a whole lot. So what they do is when you go back to your Basecamp here, you can see I have an old path called effective coaching that I'm almost done with. Then I've already finished two or three paths, but I've got presentation mastery brand new, and I've got engaging humor. And I also have visionary communication. So I have a whole lot of paths that are open. And when I go into resources, you'll see that if I want to see things that they're all the way, if you go all the way down here, I want to scroll all the way. You see how it's Basecamp user guide? You can download that, have it on your own computer. It has a whole bunch of screenshots showing you where you're navigating, where you're going. If you want to do that, I went through it all 57 pages because it's mostly screenshots showing you where to go. If you get lost, you can review that, you can learn it, you can share it with your members. They can learn this at their own pace. Isn't that what we all want? People to be able to, you don't get the strange call of, I don't know what I'm doing. They can look, it'll show them. And they have a Basecamp manager guide too. So both of those are in there. So if you want help, there's help, folks. It's great. And then as you were mentioning, there's ways of like, I could go up here to Basecamp Manager at the top of my screen. You all see where I am? So how many officers do we have here? Had a lot of officers? Yeah, thank you. So if I go in as a Basecamp manager, and you see Shannon got approved here. Yeah. So you can check, they'll keep them up there, the things that you've approved, they're in there, and you can check things like recent activity. These are all my recent activities. So it shows things, but it doesn't show a whole lot. If I click on one of these people, it will show me, let's see, what was that? They sent me notifications, and you say view all, and it'll show me, right now I'm going to show an action step. Hopefully you'll see this. So it'll show what she just finished. So it's not like I got personal information on her. This is just giving me what she's done so far. And what she gave me is a announcement that she sent to me. And she sent it through email, but she also sent it through Basecamp. So that's an improvement because guess what? We've had these things for a long time, but a lot of the tools that were in our wonderful pathway system were not getting used at all. We had feedback. You could do that. I showed people in my pathways trainings that you could do that, but now they've enlarged it. You can actually give feedback to someone in a different club. So you can put the club name and their name, and you can send through the pathways system feedback to someone who's not even in your own club.
And
That to me
Dawn,
is yeah.
just to let everyone know, I did put the Basecamp user guide and the Basecamp manager guide in the chat room. So if you want to download it from there, you can do it there. But it's pretty easy to find on TI's website as well, and in your Basecamp. But if you want to have that right after this meeting, it is here in the chat room.
Then under achievements, you've got your achievement badges, and you can go through all your achievement badges, and then you can also go through your learning badges. And the learning badges, they're all there. Everything you've ever done, messages people sent you, those are really fun. So let's go back to pathways because I didn't really show you. I don't know if you guys got how easy it is to navigate. When you first come in, and we'll just go back, I think I like showing things multiple times so people get it. When you first want to show a new member how to select a path, another way to do it that they show in this video that they put out is you go to Learning Hub, and if this is not their first path, it's not going to be free, but if it is your first path, it will be. They'll get a different announcement for first timers, but you're going to choose your path and then follow everything that Kevin told you, about your language preferences. You're going to go through all those wonderful things. I don't need to show. Does anybody need to see that? We don't need to see that tonight. So let's go back to Pathways. And now when I go back to the Pathways welcome page, if you don't see this when you first come in, go up to your name and then click on My Home. And it'll bring up this particular page. So you'll see where Basecamp is. You're going to click on that tile that says Basecamp. And instead of having to go through another thing, you're right there. You see all the different things that you have that you're working on. It's right there. And when I click on Presentation Mastery, it's going to open up eventually because I heard this word today. It's throbber. I thought, well, lifting heavy weights, your arms kind of throb sometimes. So give it time if it's not opening right away. Now, it'll open wherever you last left off, if you were looking at something. But to get back, you could just go back to, and I've got bookmarks too, but I don't want to overwhelm you tonight. So let's just go to Overview. Now, everybody, you'll see the overview will show you the whole path. And I tend to like to expand all, so that's why you can see everything. And you'll see the whole path laid out there, and you can click on whatever you want to look at next. And it'll take you right there. So what would anybody like to look at? Anybody? Anything?
Writing a
I
speech
love
with-
this vocal variety. What?
Oh, I was going to speech with purpose, but
A speech
it
with
could be any of them.
purpose?
Yeah, but it can be any
Anything
of
will
them.
work. You open up to whatever project you're
I
creating.
had a quick question.
Mhm.
I just had a quick question when you were asking about that. So, when I opened mine up and expanded it, I was only seeing the electives that I selected and brought over. The whole list of electives are not showing. Would they
Okay,
show the
I had
whole
that problem
list
the
if
first
you
time I
don't
went in.
select those?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
So the way you do it is you go into whatever level you want to look at. Like level 1 doesn't have any electives, so I'd have to go, and I'm happy to come back. So let me go back to the beginning, and I'm going to select like what doesn't everybody love the electives in level 3? That's one of my favorite things about Pathways, because almost all of the speeches that we would have had in our competent communication manual were in level 3 under the electives. So let's go back to 3. Here we go, level 3. And I had that same problem, Pam, when I first went in here. I go, oh, where are all the electives? I thought they can't have gotten rid of them. They're the best. So when you click on the word electives, all the electives should show up. So I'm going to scroll down and you'll see every elective from level 3. There's so many good ones. Now, one of the reasons I click on, let's see, I clicked on active listening because I didn't want to walk out of here without you knowing that those 3 meeting roles that you need to finish for level 3 completion are still in effect. I asked Toastmasters today, and they said that technically you're supposed to have been a Toastmaster, a Topics Master, and done an evaluation before you're approved to finish a level 3. Now, most of us are doing that all the time, aren't we? So that's not a real big problem. But I marked this one because I always love when you're a Topics Master, there's a project you can complete right away. So active listening, that's in process. Now let's see, I want to add one like know your sense of humor. See how it doesn't have a check on it? When I put, it says not selected. When I select it, it'll say, do you want to select this? You can select as many of these electives as you want. Now you only need to do 2, but if you want to look through them and peruse them and take your time and think about them, you can check mark them. And once you go submit down there, you see how it goes like when I put my highlighter over submit? Did everybody see that? I go submit. Then that comes into my tray over there. You'll see that it's on my list once it gets finished spinning here. So now along with selection, which you need to click to see them all, I have storytelling, focus on the positive, active listening, know your sense of humor. So as many as you click on will show over there on that list. Is that clear for everybody? Yeah? Okay, and also, let's say there's a page you want to save because it's valuable. you can bookmark things. See, like right now, I'm on this page where all the electives are showing. If I go up here where it says bookmark this page, and I put bookmark, now it's going to be saved in my collection of bookmarks. So when I go back to any place I'm at on this particular path, not on the other paths I'm on, but on this one, if I come over here on the right side, there'll be a little icon, hopefully. See where it says course tools and it says bookmarks? See, there's my cursor. Can you see it? It says bookmarks. So when I click on bookmarks, it's going to open eventually. And you're going to see everything that I've bookmarked on that path. So that's kind of cool, right? I don't know, because there's so many pages, aren't there? There's tons of pages. There's so many. One of the best things about Pathways to me is it's a treasure chest. There are so many projects, so many electives you can try if you haven't tried them yet. Things that you've never done before. I invite you, as Bart is often saying, like this wonderful intro he's produced, as a challenge yourself, like Emerson said, to do one thing you're afraid of every day. Keep growing. Keep challenging yourself. Keep learning. There's just so much that's good here. There's so many gems. And if not for you, for your members, for the people you're mentoring. So I know we're going along, right?
That's just fine, Dawn, and I want to thank you for that, because I think you make a great point that what we really want everyone to do is encourage people just to get in here and look for all these little treasures that you can find, all these things you can learn, all the opportunities are out there. One thing I love about all the electives is, for those of you who give a lot of speeches, but let's say you're going to give a pocket speech, or you've decided last minute to give a speech because someone has dropped out, you could either give a speech that's already saved in your library, or you could go to your electives and say, I have a speech, but I want to give it for a different purpose. Let me see what elective is here and apply that speech to it. There's so many wonderful tools that are in here that you can discover. And Ava Tweedy mentioned one of these last things in here was with one cool thing that hadn't been covered was that you can submit a digital evaluation for a club member directly from the feedback page. So the more that you practice and get on here, the more you learn. But that's the way to learn, is just to get in here and practice. I want to go ahead and open it up to questions for our three panelists, and I want to thank our panelists. Y'all did a wonderful job. So who has some questions? And I'll go through if there's any questions that have not been answered in the chat room, but who would like to unmute and ask a question or two?
I have one question. So I log in and I only see presentation mastery. I don't see all those options. Is because I'm new and I just need to get started with that?
Well, that is your path that you've chosen, is presentation mastery. So when you open up yours, you're not going to see all of these that, let's say, Sandra is working on many different paths. At the moment, you're working on one specific one, which is presentation mastery. So that's the one that would show up. And so you'll just be following that path until now you could choose, Sandra, to buy another path for $20 and work on two paths at one time. But at the moment, as a beginner, you might as well just work on the one path. And then later, as you get more experience, you might say, I want to work on another path or two that interests me.
Oh, I understood now. Thank you.
Other questions?
Now, I get that question a lot about, should I buy a second path? And if you get to level 4, absolutely, it helps to have a second path, because those are bigger projects that take longer to complete. And while you're working on them, you could be working through those easier speech projects in level 1, 2, and 3. And across the board, in level 1, all the projects are identical, Sandra. And on level 2, the mentoring project is on every path. So a lot of the electives in level 3 are on every path. So don't feel like you're shortchanged if you don't have a second path.
And somebody had asked earlier, if I take a break and then come back to Toastmasters, will my old information still be in there where I just pick up where I left off? And that answer is yes. So they don't, once it gets logged in, this is in your records forever in this program, so that if you took a 10-year break and came back and said, okay, where did I leave off? it should be in there in the records. I can't guarantee after 10 years, but I would say that it should still be. It used to be that when you finished a path, they gave you a free path to keep going. Nowadays, even if you finish a path, you have to buy the new path for $20. So you can buy a path whenever, but definitely as Dawn had mentioned, if you're at level 4, go ahead and buy another path, because there are times when you might want to have just a simple speech and give that in a previous path. So you don't have to get to the very end of a path to wait to start a new one. So that was a great question earlier, Sandra. So who else has some questions? We have a few minutes for some.
I have another question. I'm full of questions.
That's good, Pam.
There was one that Kevin talked about where he actually attached a PDF of his speech. I love that because I have changed computers so many times in the years I've been in Toastmasters, and I think, oh, I'd love to give that speech again.
So
Oh,
I
under
went there
my
right now. Can you
documents.
see where I am? I went
Uh-huh.
into, when you first go into your pathway, you have a choice of paths and learning achievements, feedback, or resources. So you go into resources, and right now they're showing you all the Toastmasters resources in that path that are available to you, plus all the other evaluations that you could be using. If, let's say, you got a new person and she doesn't send you a request for an evaluation, you can actually download this anywhere. You can send it to somebody. You have various ways of working with these evaluations. But if you want to save one, you go to My Documents there, and you go upload file, and you can save. I read it today, 300 megabytes. That's a
Because I
lot of,
used to have a lot of my speeches
yeah.
saved in the old system,
Uh-huh.
and then, that went away. So
Yeah,
I
they were
would,
recommending we all download anything we had in our document folders before the big update.
I've
Yeah.
just been keeping a big file on my own computer
Well,
of all of
perfect.
my speeches.
If you want to upload them and save them here, that's what it's for. If it goes over 300 megabytes, they'll start deleting things. They won't save more than 300 megabytes. But if we're talking about speeches, they aren't all that big. If you have video, that's different.
And Pam, I will recommend, and I don't know if some of the other leaders here have some members who sometimes just give a speech where they're just winging it and they've never written down the speech. This is another reason to write down your speech, because then you can upload it on here. And then if you want to give it again and you're going to make some changes, you've got this speech you can download from your documents. And you can also keep your evaluations in there. There's a lot of things that you can keep in here, and there's a lot of room for that. So it's great to be able to utilize that.
You can see you just pick something and you upload it and then you save it. It's just like any time we do that.
If people are looking for your headshot, like I saw right there, or for your
I said,
bio,
what did I last open? It was my profile.
yeah, they might be saying, so can you send me a bio or an introduction that I can
Yeah.
do, because you're going to be teaching at the TLI? You could keep that document there and you don't have to search for it. So it's a great way to utilize these resources and keep it in one place. Thank you, Pam. Other questions? We've got about another minute or so, and then we'll wind it up.
I was just checking. It looks like it's a lot of reading, not many videos, correct? Those all the every single lessons you go through, it's all reading. It's
No,
not
there
much
are videos in
teaching.
some of the lessons as well.
Oh,
All of them have videos actually, but just like our old pathways, you had to click on it to watch the video. And if you download the whole project, you have it and you could go on your computer and look through the whole project, but it won't have the videos. So absolutely, Sandra, if you get active on a path and open it up and start clicking through all the different sections, you're going to come to videos.
And one more other thing that I noticed about this one is they have almost built-in notes. So for anyone who used to print them out, maybe highlight sections, jot down comments, they made it interactive. So you can go in and as you're thinking about something, maybe you're doing emotional intelligence, maybe you're doing whichever project we are clicking on right here, you can actually go in and enter your thoughts, your reflections. It's not just how you feel now, but it's part of the interface on the side. It's not just an end of document thing. So there's videos, there's quizzes, there are a lot of interactive points as well. But there's always going to be a lot of reading because that's one of the easiest ways to convey information.
And just like there's lots of videos out there to show you how to play these roles, you can actually even just do a search on the internet for how to do something. And there's lots of Toastmasters out there who have recorded their own videos where you could learn from their videos as well. So it's just a matter of just searching what's there. But Toastmasters International site itself has so many wonderful resources. You should definitely go there first to find out what you can do. So I think at this point, we'll go ahead and end it. It's right after, it's a few minutes after, but I want to thank our panelists. So please do welcome again Kevin Clark, Ava Tweedy, and Dawn Jenkins for their fabulous job as our panelists for today. Thank you for sharing. And again, just get in there and dive in. And if you have any questions, get yourself a mentor who can work with you. Find out from your club who knows Pathways well or who can help you with certain things. All clubs and all members are here to support each other. Please take advantage of those resources. So thank you all for making time tonight. I'll make a copy of this recording and it will be available. And I will encourage people to spread the word to others out there so that we all can support each other in being the best that we can be. Thank you again, Kevin, Ava, and Dawn, and for everybody for taking your time. Thank you so much.